What's up, everybody? Welcome to an all-new episode of Watching Nerdy. I am James. I'm joined by
Kevin
and Jerry
and Merle.
And this is Talking Nerdy's movie podcast, where we sit down, we watch a movie, and then we will discuss it. Today's movie was Fanboys.
Whoa. Hold on. What was our movie, Merle?
It was Fanboys.
And who decided on this movie?
I did.
You did. Very nice.
Through a long, grueling battle at Wii Bowling. I won by 6 points.
You just wasted James, destroyed him at Wii Bowling.
Yeah. Because I got the early strike, and it took him forever to get it.
You're just not a bowler, James?
I'm not a bowler, no.
bowling, so
It's got that.
You
took that.
You
Pat
must not be a
Ben's,
golfer.
I can golf.
Class and
That was a
playing
Big
Wii
Lebowski
bowling.
reference.
I
That's
can
okay,
golf.
though.
You guys want
okay.
Wii golf?
Have you seen Big Lebowski?
Yeah, there's Wii golf, there's Wii baseball, and there's all kinds of Wii nonsense.
Tennis and all that shit.
Most of it's just this.
Yeah.
So we're going to sit here, we're going to discuss Fanboys. But first, go check us out on Facebook, Talking Nerdy 815. Like us there. If you haven't already, subscribed to the podcast here on Podbean, or you can go to iTunes and subscribe there. Leave us a review, rate us, do all that good stuff. And subscribe to the YouTube channel, Talking Nerdy.
Where you can also find these.
And yeah, you can get this on the YouTube channel as well.
If you just want to watch it.
But that's it. Yeah, that's it. So let's jump into it. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah, no,
movie.
it was fun.
It was good. This is the first time I've seen it.
So
really?
Yeah, I'm not really a comedy guy.
I think
like to mope in the dark while I watch shows.
I think this is the either second or third time that I've seen it. The synopsis of it is it's essentially four friends that get together plus one.
It's a plus one.
And it takes place in 98, 99?
98.
98
Shortly
before episode 1 takes place, Phantom Menace. Everybody remembers that great movie, right?
I would describe this as Detroit Rock City with plastic lightsabers.
Yeah.
Indeed.
It's definitely
that. Who would you say the main? If you had to pick a main character in this, it'd be Bottler, right? Bottler,
I
the
would say.
salesman, the
Nah,
car salesman,
definitely Hutch.
Hutch is the best. Hutch is the
He's
best.
still
Yeah, Hutch is the best. But the guy that plays Bottler is in Detroit Rock City.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, he's kind of the main character in
he's
that
kind
too.
of the main character.
Yeah.
In that,
It's funny
Yes.
that this was made in what, 09 was it?
yeah. I think it would come. Yeah.
They there was a 90s vibe to it, not just in the with the way they talked.
Well, this says 08. I hate to break it to you guys.
It probably
It's
was
fine.
It probably came out in
Still a Obama
09, but
administration.
Yeah.
But Bush administration. Either way, they're you can kind of if just off the top of my head, you don't hear fag a lot anymore,
Oh,
and you didn't
yeah.
hear that a lot in 08 or 09 either. Well, maybe 08, but yeah, that was 90s talk.
Yeah.
Nobody even had a second thought about it. So it's kind of weird that the characters were supposed to be cheering for or
Saying,
speaking in the dialect
Yeah.
we don't anymore.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very frowned upon in today's
But
society.
again, in the context of the 90s, it wasn't. Everyone was more
Yeah.
It was
individualistic and hostile.
It's the Michael Scott thing of you call your friends gay or whatever, not as It's just that's
Oh dear.
All you need to know about this movie is Star Wars is the greatest thing that ever existed, and everyone else is wrong.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's true about the movie.
Yeah.
Well,
About
it's
the
true
character.
about life
No, that's
No.
in
that's-
general.
that's what the movie's about, right?
And Harrison Ford is the greatest actor of all time.
Yeah,
Though he was the single person almost that didn't make an appearance.
Yeah,
I mean, we
there's
didn't
no
have Mark.
way they
hated
could get.
Oh, yeah,
Mark,
no.
so-
Yeah,
He didn't.
there was no way
But then
they could
again,
get.
never liked making him. Mark
Shatner,
Hamill.
not exactly a fan of Kirk
Yeah.
after all these years.
Well, Shatner was probably just looking for something to
Oh yeah,
do in 08, you know. But so let's jump.
Just
let's
looking
jump all
for
the way
something
back.
to do.
Oh,
He's just
what was he
bored,
doing? He's doing those,
sitting around doing Priceline commercials.
Priceline commercials and
Priceline
Trek
negotiating.
and Trek documentaries.
Love those commercials.
What is? I don't get. The book was called Trekking with TJ.
TJ Hooker.
What
His
is
cop
that?
show.
What is TJ? What is it?
TJ Hooker.
Oh,
It's the show he was in where he was a cop.
Oh, okay. That explains it. I've always wondered about that. I don't know. Trekking with TJ.
I don't know why he wrote a book called Trekking with TJ.
Kristen Bell is also in the movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. She plays a role in the movie.
The group of well, they're adults, but
the group of kids.
They feel like teenagers, but no, they're mid-20s.
Yeah,
which is younger than me now. Which
it's
made me feel bad.
Scary.
I think I know all the actors. So it's Sam Huntington is Eric Butler.
That quarter-life crisis.
From famous for such roles as that dude from Detroit Rock City, and Mimi Siku from Jungle to Jungle with Tim Allen, which is one of the best Disney movies of all time. Then we have Kristen Bell plays that one girl, Zoe. Jay Baruchel is Windows. I think that's how you say his name.
What else did he do?
He's from Tropic Thunder. He was in.
He's a super nerdy kid and everything. Wizard's Apprentice.
What's the
right?
Yeah. What was the movie?
How to Train Your Dragon.
Knocked Up.
He's
in he was actually part of that Seth Rogen group. Paul
This Is the End. He was like the main character, and This Is the End.
You see that group pop up throughout.
You got Chris Marquette, who's probably the least famous at this point, who is the guy that's dying.
Oh, no.
Hutch is Dan Fogler, who is getting more popular. Like, he was in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Oh, okay. See, I kept saying, like, this dude is so familiar, but I can't think of anything that he's been in since this freaking movie. But, I love that movie.
I thought it was awesome. Voice, like, that weird...
Boston-y?
Like, well, he's got that, it's kind of gravelly, and he does this weird, like, he's always going low, and in this movie at least. Yeah. But he's also in.
He's a character actor.
Well, he's in the Goldbergs too. He plays the same thing in the Goldbergs.
That he played in this.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
He's great though. I love dude. So basically, what this is, you've got Eric Butler.
He's the only one that went into reality.
Yeah, so they graduate,
after high school.
Yeah, they graduate high school. Eric goes on to work for the family business.
Yeah, his dad is a car salesman.
Yeah. The other ones basically just stay doing nothing.
Yeah, boys.
I couldn't like imagine like doing that after high school, just nothing.
Well, I can understand. Well, Windows apparently owns a comic book store.
Yeah,
which isn't
that's
too.
That's super relatable for. Maybe one of us.
Then I don't know we don't know what the girl does at one point.
And that's literally the only. I will say that right now. That's literally the only person making money at a comic book store is the people that own it.
Dang.
I don't make any money working at a comic. It's just fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. You meet a lot of really cool people.
Like me, right? Anyway, so then you've got so. The other three guys, they haven't done anything.
You keep looking at it. No, you need it for references.
So the other three guys, besides Eric, they've stayed doing nothing.
Yeah.
Still living at home. I'm assuming we don't know where the other two live.
They obviously live with Hutch at the
carriage house.
The carriage house.
But they meet up again after 3 years. At least the three of them meet up with Eric again after 3 years at a Halloween party. And they're still...
What do they dress like, James?
Well, they're dressed as stormtroopers and Darth Vader.
Darth Vader, yeah.
Which is apparently the same
costume
thing they wear every year. And they spend the party talking about Star Wars.
In episode 1.
And it turns... So, episode 1's coming out in mere months at this point.
And they have a device, right? And it changes...
It's like a Palm Pilot or something.
Yeah. But it's counting down to the exact second that episode 1 is released, and I guess they hand it over to a new it gets a new keeper every single night, like at midnight. Somebody else gets it.
So they meet back up at this party, and they talk about an idea they had years and years ago when they were still in school of driving to Skywalker Ranch and. Well, I guess at that point, I don't know what they were wanting to steal, because would they have really thought would they have known about episode 1 at that point, or they just wanted to go and break into Skywalker Ranch at that point?
Yeah, just to say they broke
here they decide they're wanting to go to Skywalker Ranch to steal a copy of episode 1
because now there's actually something to steal.
Sure. So Eric, being the
mature, grown-up individual.
Although he's portrayed not as someone who made the rational choice, but kind of like a musician who hung up his guitar to, work at a gas station or something. Like it's that kind of character, not someone who found a balance between his hobbies and his money-making.
It's somebody that put their hobbies on the
somebody
shelf.
Turned their back on who they were to become a cog in a machine.
Right. Yes. He points out that the idea is silly. It's you can't do it.
He drowns everything in reality.
And it puts a damper on the night, and they go their separate ways again.
Way to douche up the party.
Yeah. So the guys end up going to find Eric, and they tell him they reveal.
Okay, before you get to the darker tone, let's talk about his dad. Because that's the next scene we get to see.
Oh, so it's Christopher McDonald in brownface.
Christopher McDonald as a brown-faced cowboy, and he's the owner of the car dealership.
He is cool.
And yeah.
And there's also the dude that plays Roy from The Office plays Eric's brother. He's also
wasn't he also an Out Cold?
You will remember him from as Jason's dad in the recent Power Rangers.
That's right.
movie.
Yep, you're right. I was also thinking that when I saw him. I was like, I don't know where I've seen him recently, but I'm pretty sure I saw him something.
You've probably seen every one of these people in something.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually got quite a good
huge cast.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so Eric's doing good at the company. His dad lets him shoot this commercial.
He's manager of that location.
Yeah. What did he say? He has like 15 locations or something like that?
He's actually manager of that particular one. But he's also
how else would he be able to afford such a fancy spray tan?
That's true. That is true. And that hat, that's like got to be like a Stetson or something.
The richer you get, the more orange you get.
So they show up. Windows and Hutch show up at the car dealership, and they reveal to Bottler that
Linus has cancer.
Linus is dying. He's only got months to live.
You got to say that while you're yawning.
Sorry.
We're not bored that he has cancer, man. It's messed up.
When they revealed that, I just assumed cynically that they were lying.
Yeah, to get him to get in on it. Yeah.
It wasn't until much later where I was like, oh, I guess he really does.
It's cancer.
Car cancer.
Like serious? Yeah. Like serious cancer?
Serious cancer.
He only has months to live, and
it's less time.
And he's not going through chemo.
Obviously.
Because Earl pointed out, he looks okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He doesn't look like all...
And he's not physically
kind
ill.
Of put a damper on the good humor if he were.
Yeah. And he's obviously, like you said, obviously not going through chemo because...
he just seems to be.
He's still got all his hair.
So the friends come up to the car dealership to tell their friend about it, and all they want is him to kind of reconcile their friendship and apparently he didn't even want him to know.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's how.
Yeah,
that's how.
Because they distance each other.
Right. The thing is, they've been best friends since I think you said like the first grade.
Yeah.
And so when they graduated, I guess Bottler just
cut everyone out.
Yeah. So I could see how that could,
I've had a close friend disappear. I can see why he'd be
like, he'd be a little pissed off. Yeah, don't mess with me. I gotta, Yeah, I can see why.
He's obviously moved on. Don't dredge.
Yeah. And plus he is, as we see a little later, he's mature. He doesn't care about the crap that they care about, and so why would you even want to invite this guy back into your life when you've only got a few months left to just potentially bring it down by shitting on the fact that you still love Star Wars or you still sit around and play video games
or won't humor your ideas even though you know that.
I will say this real quick though, we can't sit here and this thing has a million great jokes and a million great lines. We're not gonna be able to tell. Like, I want to just sit here and just throw out every great joke and line that there is, but just know this movie's funny.
Yeah, I got a good couple of laughs out of it.
A good couple. I think you laughed the most, Kevin.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm laughing the most. Merle's laughing now.
Merle was over there quoting half the movie.
Yeah.
So were you.
I was trying to do it quieter than Merle. Merle was just over there yelling the whole
I don't give a shit. I've watched that movie so many times.
So yeah, they tell him, come over tonight because we're going to be over at Hutch's place.
And they were playing Mario Kart, so that's cool. Like, that's fine.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you could be anybody and play Mario Kart. There's nothing wrong with that.
So he does. He comes over and he tries to talk to Linus about it. They
He's not
never do
having
bring
any
up.
of it.
They don't bring up the fact that he's dying still.
No.
Because Linus doesn't want to hear it. He doesn't want to talk to him. He ends up leaving. They have this argument. The argument start. I love the look on the other guys' faces too when they see where it's going. But the argument starts with you're the one that left, you're the one that forgot about us, and then it turns into this this argument about did Luke and Leia really have a thing for each other.
Yeah.
It's great, man.
They were siblings. They were siblings, you sick bastard.
So from there, we cut to Bottler at the dealership. His dad pops in. Oh, we should also mention that he at one point was drawing. Mm-hmm. He was a good drawer, and he gave. I think you actually did mention that he gave that up.
Yeah, well, I didn't say the drawing, but yeah, like he was a. But I don't mean like
penciler.
Doodle.
Like
I mean,
he was
he
a penciler.
did good.
Yeah,
it was good.
Like,
There was a lot of shading and extra detail work.
Detail
and I
for
think
backgrounds and stuff.
I think Linus.
He wasn't just like.
Oh, I think that's what Linus said. Like he left there because they had a plan. I think and Bottler said something like, "Oh, what to be the next great thing in comics?" So I'm assuming Bottler was going to be the artist and Linus was going to be the writer or something.
Man,
but
I don't know about maybe in '98. I don't know, but like in '08. Like, that was before... Like, there's a massive resurgence now where everybody's talking about Marvel and DC. But, I mean, they weren't always pop culture.
I think, well, if you look at 98, there was a lot of... You hungry?
No.
I'm hungry.
I doubt your mic picked that up, though.
Yeah.
Thanks for drawing attention to it.
I think there was a lot of good stuff going on at Marvel at 98, wasn't there?
Good stuff for people...
Like Jim Lee,
in the know.
There were a lot of, Todd McFarlane, Spawn came out, Savage Dragon, so Eric Larson. Image was basically in its heyday around that time. But, that was also around, Deadpool's first appearance. Comics were really being overprinted around that time. So, literally almost nothing that you can find from that time is really worth a lot of money as opposed to 80s and 70s type stuff.
And I would say now, surely that's drawing people like, oh, these come from comics, let me take a look,
Yeah.
But that's certainly in the 90s. Like, you saw Spawn in the 90s.
Yeah.
The movie was out. Blade had a movie out.
Oh, yeah.
These movies were out, but they weren't everything. Like, now everything is Marvel.
It's always funny, especially when Deadpool came out and they were like, oh man, first rated R superhero movie, and then they're like, what about Blade?
Yeah.
Blade was a thing that was based off of a comic book. Yeah.
Was Spawn rated R?
I don't think it was. I think it was PG-13.
Yeah.
But there was gore, but it was CGI demon gore.
Yeah.
I feel like John Leguizamo was... he did a lot of cussing in that movie. Threw some F-bombs out and stuff. I feel like that was rated R.
We're fixing to look it up.
Yeah.
I could tell you that the first issue of it's only worth $20.
I can tell you the animated HBO show was rated R.
Yeah. It was super...
I used to have that VHS.
Really, the worst I remember John Leguizamo was calling someone a retard. But that was... that's South Park levels. That's not...
Yeah. Maybe you're right.
I don't know.
It's been a while since I saw that movie, too.
It wasn't something I'm going to rewatch anytime soon, but...
I used to watch that movie so much.
I've always liked the I don't know the word, the syntax or something. Just the saying Malbolgia is pleasurable to the tongue.
So let's see, where were we? Oh, Bottler is at the dealership and he's penciling.
Yeah.
And he is doing good. He's good. And his dad walks in and tells him
It was a rated R movie.
it's rated R? I thought so.
For violence and crude humor.
Oh, crude humor. That's cool.
Violator.
I'm not the vibrator.
He gives him
He gives him the company.
the company.
The company's
whole
yours.
shebang.
All of it, the hat and everything.
He didn't want that.
and all the stores. He said
Yeah.
like 15 stores.
15
Yeah,
locations
15
or
stores from here to Tacoma or something.
So I guess at that point, Eric shows up at the comic book store, which is a hole in the wall comics.
You're gonna skip the scene of
Okay.
Kristen Bell trying
No,
to.
I was gonna tell.
Oh,
That's
okay.
that whole
Yeah.
scene is great because
Yeah.
we jump in and Hutch is trying to Jedi mind trick Kristen Bell to take her shirt off.
Right.
So he's you want to take your shirt off. It doesn't work.
At
You
first,
need to take your shirt off.
first
He's
looking at it,
then
like
finally
whenever
he's
they
like,
first popped in,
You want to just take your shirt off?
I thought she was a customer, like and just a friend of theirs
yeah.
or whatever. And I'm like, wow, this is really like kind of.
Oh, it doesn't help that she's working there.
Yeah. Oh no, not at all. But it would make it even worse if she was a customer.
You seem to enjoy your job. I don't enjoy my job.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't imagine being at work and someone like, whip that dick out.
Yeah.
Let me
Pull
get
that
a
bad
sniff.
boy out.
It's like, oh.
So
how much money you got in your wallet?
Hutch is like Hutch.
Sexually harassing her.
Hutch is sexual harassment.
Yeah, absolutely.
He tries to get Windows to help him out, and she's like, he's geeking out with Rogue Leader, who we should mention. He has a girlfriend, an online girlfriend.
Because at the party, he was supposed to hit her up on his lap. So he brought his laptop to the party. We forgot to mention that too.
And everybody makes fun of him because they assume it's a dude.
Yeah. With a giant cock.
Yeah.
and a handlebar mustache.
Oh God. So she turns around and she's like, "Look, he's just immune. Don't worry. Don't bother him because he's not going to listen. He's immune to." And he's like, "Look, he's even immune to this." And she just like flashes him.
And he's not even looking up.
Man's immune to
And Hutch is like,
Yeah.
but I love sweater puppies.
So that's when
Simon and Garfunkel
That's when
walk in.
Simon and Garfunkel come in, and they want to. This might be my favorite scene in the whole movie.
Favorite cameo, whatever. Yeah.
It's just these two guys walk in and they ask about this phaser gun that's in the
Phaser.
Phaser.
No, they say
phaser
gun.
gun.
Yeah.
But the
I feel like I'm stepping into an obvious trap.
Does that hurt your soul?
That's just not that's not the vocabulary. It's fine. It's a minor detail. I'm not gonna nerd out.
He wants to go into it. Just do it.
That's it. It's just not. It's not phaser gun. It's just phaser.
It's just
All right.
phaser.
Okay.
But these two guys asked for the phaser gun.
So it's almost like they were even slapping you in the face with the wrong
it felt like
wrong
a
vocabulary.
dare.
Yeah.
It felt like a dare because I
And
feel like
also,
they kind of had a good grasp.
none of those.
Well, I mean, we already
Trekkies
know
uniforms were even true
the slap in the
uniforms.
face that they really give Trekkies in this movie, but
Not even by
we'll get more on that
TOS
later.
standards.
Well, that may not be a slap in the face. That just might be
the same
rights,
reason why the
a rights thing. Yeah,
the same reason why those statues didn't look like William Shatner.
So
Ricardo
these guys ask Hutch about who also works there.
Yeah, he was
Or
behind
maybe
the counter.
maybe he just helps out because they're best friends.
We get people like that.
But
That's how they become employees.
It's like, sorry,
So,
Garfunkel.
They said how much for the phaser gun, and he says, "Sorry, Garfunkel, we don't hawk Trek here." He's like, "Well, if you don't hawk Trek, why you got the phaser gun?" And he's like, "We use it to suss out Trekkie bitches like yourselves to tell them to get the hell off our land. So get the hell off our land." And he like runs these guys out of there. It's just the best. To me, it's the best scene, man.
Yeah,
That, and he has one line later on in the movie that's my favorite line in the whole entire movie. But we'll get there.
Hutch only has 2 lines in the whole movie.
He
You like?
He only has 2 that matters. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, he has the best. He has everything is him.
Well, he's our walking punchline in this movie, basically. Everyone else,
he's the Eric Cartman of this.
Everyone else acts pretty rationally, and he's our,
He throws out Star Wars reference constantly.
Mm-hmm.
They're the best. So anyway, Eric comes in, and he's like, "Hey, how much can I get for like a first edition Eric Bottler comic or whatever?" And so he must have gone home after that and looked through his old stuff and.
Yeah, I don't remember them actually
talking about that, or how they even got
speaking aloud, like why he suddenly had this change of heart. But I think just
be
the impending responsibilities that he's going to have. Like this is pretty much his last moment.
Yeah,
his last hurrah before.
But he also has a map that they made when they were still in school of their trip from Ohio to Skywalker Ranch, and he's trying to convince them to go ahead and do it. Let's do what y'all were talking about.
Of course, they're not drunk
make the
anymore.
Pilgrimage.
Yeah. So he convinces those 2, but now they have to convince Linus to do it.
Because without him, it's all moot, because he's the reason he wants to do it anyway.
Right. So they go to Linus's house. And
something is like a scene was cut or something, because Eric is now in a Opie outfit.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to think.
He's wearing like Western wear.
Yeah,
like
it's
they
a
gave
little
him
weird.
the hat earlier, but it's like, is he doing that for?
That's what I was thinking. Like,
yeah, it is a little weird.
In the director's commentary, they talk about it, and it was apparently a scene was cut where they actually Hutch and Windows rescue Eric from a commercial shoot, and that's why he's in the Western.
There you go.
It was his first appearance as Big Eric.
Big Eric.
Big Eric. Oh, boy.
So Linus is laying in bed eating Pez out of I don't know if you guys noticed, like Emperor Palpatine Pez dispenser.
Of course we noticed that. And he has like a whole collection of Pez dispensers above him. Yes.
And just everywhere Star Wars toys. Mm-hmm. But he's like, no. And they're like, he doesn't want to go with Bottler.
Right.
But they throw a little folder on his chest, say, look at this, Turns out that
Rogue Leader has a little
Windows life partner,
Rogue
Leader, who was described as a cross between Sarah Michelle Gellar and Janine Garofalo.
Wait, who did he describe himself as?
He's like a white Billy D. Williams.
Billy D. Williams.
Calls himself white chocolate.
Oh, my God.
She was able to get floor plans for Skywalker Ranch.
Mm-hmm.
And more to come.
And so
they had a face-to-face meeting.
They're able to convince Linus to go ahead and do it.
There's actually a plan in motion. This isn't a half-cocked
right
venture.
It's reflex. That's fine.
So off they go into Hutch's van,
which is modified. We'll say.
Yeah, it's got
interior lights, such a chair.
It's got a picture from the first
poster,
movie
right?
poster.
Yeah.
Leia,
Luke holding the lightsaber.
R2-D2.
But it's not. It's not Luke's face though.
It's not. It's
Oh,
Hutch.
Yeah.
I think it's Hutch.
Was it Hutch?
Yeah,
because
it's
the
Hutch's
person
face.
had glasses. Did Hutch have glasses?
No.
Was it Windows?
Could have been.
It may have been Windows. I'd have to go back and look at the.
I don't know. Well, I know
The
it
van
was.
on the
I
back?
know it was Hutch's van.
Not from any angle that we
No.
can get any good at.
Yeah. Well,
We'll have to look that back up. But yeah, it's one of their faces.
I
They
think
jump
they were
in.
all faced in.
no. Was it Windows calls Chewie?
No. Linus calls Chewie.
Yeah.
And basically it's shotgun.
Yeah.
But obviously they have to
Which
throw
makes sense. Yeah.
They got to throw a Star Wars spin on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically
'Cause they haven't
the
hammered
driver's
home.
home.
Yeah. Hammer home that this
is
movie's
Star
about
Wars.
Star
Yeah, it's
Wars.
Fanboys.
It does take it to like a level where it's hyperbole and parody, so that's fine. But it's
It's absurd.
Does it take it
it's
too far?
disturbing to me
It's
because I worry that you don't quite understand that it's hyperbole. Like you seem to be envious of them.
No.
It is somewhat aggravating.
Why?
Like, I mean, not aggravating. It's I'm trying to think the word for it, but it's like I don't know. It's too much, man.
Is it too much?
It feels like too much.
These people, they surround themselves with people that are all about Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
No,
I get it.
That doesn't sound healthy.
I get it. I get it. But I mean, I'm a fan of things, but I don't like have things of everything and like reference it every single second.
I think you do.
He's not always wearing a My Hero Academia
This
shirt.
is actually the only My Hero Academia shirt that I have.
And a backpack.
You're wearing a Star Wars shirt right now.
I love Star Wars.
That's because we were watching this movie.
Okay.
I didn't even know we were watching this.
Probably.
I honestly thought today was Three Ninjas Day.
Oh, God.
So,
man. So anyway,
I mean,
we can we get back to this van?
Where were we?
The van's pretty cool.
The van's cool.
Yeah.
It's got lights lining it. It actually has. It's like black. It has the cover that we were talking about earlier, and then on the very back on the top, it has like R2-D2 sticking out of the top of it, which is it's pretty awesome.
Hutch detailed it, by the way. He did it himself. He's a
he does
pretty accomplished detailer, a car detailsman.
He doesn't do it for a living though. He just does it for himself.
Right. Yeah.
And he also lives in his mother's basement.
No, garage.
What is
No,
it?
carriage house?
The carriage,
house.
but he calls it the carriage house.
Yeah. There's a few running jokes throughout the movie, like that.
Every time, what's the character's name?
Which one? Bottler?
Yeah. Every time he says garage, he always corrects him. Always corrects.
Carriage house.
Carriage house. Does anybody actually really call it a carriage house? Is that like a technical term
I
or
don't
something?
know. I don't know.
Or is that just what he nicknamed it?
I think that's just what he named it to.
Really?
To make it not seem so bad that he's living in his
like
mom's
the next
garage.
step. Do you remember the episode of The Simpsons where Homer's like, "Oh, I gotta go check the garage," and Mom's like, "Ooh, the garage, Mr. Frenchie here," and he's like, "Well, what do you call it?" "It's a car hole."
A car hole.
That was my best mo.
That's not bad. It's not bad.
No, it worked. You made your point. Are you trying to figure out where we're going next?
Yeah.
They start the drive.
Yeah,
man.
The road trip.
The road
begins.
trip
They stop at like
goes.
an
Oh,
IHOP or
They've left the
something.
Shire.
There's 3 rules.
Oh yes, the 3
for the
rules.
van.
What are the rules, James?
In Hutch's van, which, by the way, he's talking over a loudspeaker.
Well, first he hands him the tunes
Right,
for the road trip,
him,
right?
You know, hey, pick some tunes, right? He's got a big
and it's cassette tapes.
It's cassettes.
For those of you that were born after the year 2000,
he flips the case of cassettes open, and it's nothing but Rush, and so, which brings us to rule number 1 in the van, which is it's all Rush all the time.
No
All right,
exceptions.
no excuses. All right, no exceptions, nothing. So, second rule.
Don't touch the red button.
There's a red button on the console. Never touch the red button.
there's a lot of flips and switches and
He
stuff
did some.
going on the
He did
console.
some work on that thing.
Yeah.
And the third one is no jerking it in the van. And like Eric, who has not been around in a while, is looking like, why would that be a rule? And Windows is like, all right. You know? So apparently, at some point, Windows has used Hutch's van.
I don't remember what the flooring was like in his van.
It was like carpeted.
shag carpet.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to get jizz out of shag carpeting?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Me neither. I assume it's hard though. I
Tell
assume
us
that it's
about it,
quite
Jerry.
difficult. First, you got to get in there with the toothbrush.
Yeah.
Throw that away afterwards. Don't want to be confused.
You just light it and walk away.
So now, yeah, you're right. So they get on the road.
Don't roll your eyes at me, Admiral Jack Bar. They stop at an IHOP or
Yeah, and they start. Yeah, like
They stop at a
breakfast place.
restaurant.
When they start working
Just
out
pretend
their
it's an IHOP. And
working
they start
out their
planning
plan.
out their journey.
They have to go to
meet-
Texas
Yeah.
to meet Rogue Leader,
Yes,
who's going to give them the rest of the.
the info they need.
Because Rogue Leader has
She has a connection in the Lucas ranch,
Which we'll find out who that is later.
So they get on the road, right? Mm-hmm. And
everybody
everybody falls asleep,
Yeah.
Except
right?
for, of course, Hutch.
So Hutch is driving, and he's looking at his map, He's using a
and
map,
looking at
an actual map.
Yeah, the road signs. No GPS.
And decides he notices something, so he decides to make a detour. So he wakes everybody up with his loudspeaker when the morning comes around, and they realize that they aren't
in Texas.
They're not in Texas.
They're nowhere near Texas.
And so they ask, "Where are we?"
They're
and he said, "He goes, some people call it heaven. I like to call it Iowa." And they're like, "Iowa?" He's like, "We're in a Riverside, future birthplace of one Captain James T. Kirk." And so he's basically driven out of the way so that they can go to the birthplace of James
It's
Kirk.
because they're huge Trek fans, right?
Actually, it's actually the opposite.
They're huge Star Wars
Here
fans.
comes that other slap in the face.
No account for taste.
To where...
to
the point to where Trekkies suck, apparently.
I'm with them, though. Well, see, they haven't gotten this far superior than the television show J.J. Abrams trilogy.
God damn you.
Dude, this is 98.
I know,
they
that's
had
what I'm saying.
the best series ever. DS9 was finishing up.
Cisco was a space pimp.
Yeah, you don't fuck with the Cisco.
Cisco,
I had a
thong
friend.
song.
No.
Is that the dude that wrote the thong song?
I had a friend who will probably listen to this later, and they were all arguing about Star Trek at Kapow one day. And I honestly cannot remember what series it was because in my head, there's like a million Star Trek seasons. And he quoted one of them as being Gilmore Girls in Space.
Gilmore Girls in Space.
Dear God, I couldn't even imagine.
That might have been
I can't remember.
Enterprise.
I can't remember which season it was. I thought it was like Generations or
Generations was a movie.
Oh, okay.
The Next Generation is like the pinnacle of television.
Okay, well, it wasn't Next Generation.
It had to have been Enterprise. That was the Scott Bakula one.
So anyway, we're in
It also
Iowa.
had like a pop song for a theme song.
Yeah.
Really?
It sets you in the weird. We're not here to talk about Star Trek.
Yeah. It was the only one that didn't have an orchestral besides the original series, which had the
synth orchestra with the.
That's thought you were going Tim Allen there.
It's the Home Improvement of the stars.
I love Home Improvement. That's what we should do a podcast over one day.
We'll binge watch it.
Run the whole series of Home Improvement. So they make it to Riverside. And it just so happens that there's some Trekkies who are at
and they're in a park, and they're they're telling people about a statue that's behind them.
Yep.
And they're all dressed up, and they have makeup and everything. And the leader of the Trekkies just so happens to be Seth Rogen with heavy makeup and fake teeth and everything.
We've seen like the positive hyperbolic mockery of nerds and our main characters, and this is like the negative. Like they're all greasy and their hair is matted down.
Like almost to the point to where it's a detriment to their.
Ernest Cline wrote this, and he nailed them. He nailed Trekkies.
Are you kidding me?
You're gonna have people lighting our podcast on fire.
I'm kidding. I'm just joking. They know I'm kidding.
Whatever happened to the MMO, guys?
What, STO?
That MMO's terrible.
I'm still on it.
Yeah, me too.
Level 60.
So almost there. Level 58.
I'll be done with it soon.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
I love it.
No, I feel it. Yeah.
So they're talking about this statue that depicts what is it? Khan and Kirk their battle
struggle.
or whatever.
The eternal
with their
or as
dongs.
Or as
you see in the background the whole time, all you see is Kirk from the waist down.
Yeah.
And you just see this huge imprint of like Kirk's just massive erection.
Did he have a? Well, Kirk was a ladies' man, so surely he was.
Yeah, but Khan
he was
had
working with
one
something.
He was a frat boy in space. Yeah. Dueling with what? Lypras or whatever?
Those Vulcan weapons.
Yeah.
You know what I think about every time I see those? Or like
Ricardo Montalban?
the later on weapons or whatever, I always think of Cable Guy.
That's where, at medieval times.
Medieval times.
How's the music go that he was? Yeah, that's great. Oh, dude, that should be on our list of movies to watch.
Cable Guy was fun.
Dude, it was written by Ben Stiller. Did you know that?
No, I did not, but that does not surprise me. Burn.
There's something about Mary?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. So...
Did he write Dodgeball, too?
I don't know if he wrote Dodgeball. He was in Dodgeball.
Just started.
I like
him
some of
and,
the roles he's
yeah.
played.
Yeah.
I like Zoolander too.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
So most
Zoolander 2 or
Zoolander as well. I didn't watch Zoolander.
good surprise role was the Pick of Destiny. That was fun.
Yeah.
He was like the metalhead.
Pick.
Yeah.
God, I don't even remember.
Yeah,
I don't.
He
Know.
he was the guy that
picks.
brought him into the closet and was telling him the history of the
history
pick.
of the
And he's
pick.
like got a lighter
How
and
it
he's
went
like
from the,
telling him like the story and
outlet.
Kyle's like, oh, I think there's a light switch back here, and he flips it on.
Yeah.
It's like,
I gotta, man.
It was like it started with the Who, and then the lead guitarist of the Who, and then it fell into Eddie Van Halen.
that's on a different podcast. Let's get back to Fanboys. We've
Okay.
strayed.
Yeah. We'll do a Tenacious D podcast.
I do appreciate it that you know.
Yeah.
all that.
Word for word, Pick of Destiny.
Yes, I can completely appreciate because I love that movie.
So
Well, anyway,
they start making fun of the Trekkies by asking them questions like,
what was in
what did Sulu find in Captain Kirk's
laboratory?
Yeah.
Which was Captain's log.
Yeah.
What
was
is the Klingon translation for "You're gonna die a virgin"?
And he starts saying it,
and
he's
then
like,
he realizes,
"Oh, wait!" And he walks up to Hutch and he zips his hoodie down, and it's Star
opens
Wars.
his jacket, and he's got a Star Wars shirt. And he's like, "Yep, more Lucas hounds come
Here's
to mock
Mock
Roddenberry." And so they start to have a little word battle, and it ends with
Seth
Rogen's character calling Han Solo a bitch. And that puts Hutch over the edge.
Yeah, there's
and
a problem here.
He pushes him.
And then called Han Solo a bitch.
And then Seth Rogen gives Hutch a little push.
Me, I'm gonna kill your whole Starfleet.
And they start pushing each other back. I love when Hutch does the snick, come on boys. He does like
with the Wolverine.
Yeah.
And so they start having this fight. Like two of them attack Hutch. So Linus has to try to jump in, and Windows kind of jumps in. And the whole time Bottler's in the van because he didn't want to do this anyways.
Right.
And he sees this fight start, so he starts to try to bring the van around, and they have this fight, and finally, let's see what.
Bottler brings
brings the van over,
honking a horn that has Chewbacca's roar.
I guess I completely missed that.
You didn't hear that?
No, I guess I completely missed it.
Um,
Everything is just so commonplace in that movie.
Yeah,
like this is like a shot-for-shot remake of my day-to-day life.
So they jump back in the van.
It started getting going.
They hear
Han Solo is still a bitch.
So Hutch decides to reverse it, take down their statues,
and then take off.
And then book it.
And the statue was made out of some really cheap foam, apparently, because he just fucking obliterates it.
It obviously wasn't made out of true copper or whatever.
They
also mentioned the likeness of the statues.
Yeah, the fact that they don't look like either one of, and that was because the same reason probably why
they get sued.
Yeah,
Paramount's too jealous or whatever.
Yeah. Well, anyway, then the best. Well, not really the best, but as they're storming away in the van, Bottler moons the pursuers.
Yeah, he gives them, what does he call it? The pressed ham.
God. Hit them with the pressed ham. Cling on to this.
So as they're good. So as they're racing away, they get a flat tire, and they end up like crashing.
But it's way further down the road because before, whenever they got it, I'm like, oh shit, these guys are gonna catch up to them. It was quite.
Yeah, they were outside
the desert.
Yeah, they race down the road, and they're having a good time. They're enjoying their
really hoping for a nice
just
wacky racers moment where we have them all pop up on their cars and all Star Trek stuff going on, and then you got like
one of them looks like the Enterprise, and this one has looks like no. That would have been.
They didn't have the
too
budget.
much, I think. Yeah. So they get this flat tire, and they have to start walking to try to find, because they're in the middle of nowhere at this point. Mm-hmm. And
they find one bar.
They run across a bar, so they walk in, and it's
real kind of douches.
Yeah, they walk up to the guy, and Bottler's real nice about it. He's like, "Hey, our car broke down, and we're just wondering if there's anybody that we can get to fix it." And the guy was like, "No." And
then they asked for a glass of water.
Yeah, because Linus, it's smoky in there, and Linus is having trouble breathing or whatever. So the guy gives him a glass of water. Well, first he takes a little drink of it.
Yeah.
And he gives him a glass of water, and Bottler's like, pirate teeth. And the guy's like, $100. He's like, $100? We're not paying for that. And so naturally, Hutch has to step in. Because
he's the masculine of the
no one's
group,
gonna so Hutch,
he's such a big guy.
He is Hutch pushes him aside, and he's like they're like, "No, Hutch, don't worry about it." He's like, no, this guy wants to dick, I can dick. And
then they start trying to tell him, "No, you don't need to be saying this stuff."
And he's saying stuff like, what's he say?
I
raped guys 15 times your size in prison, which I think is like a Roadhouse reference.
Only it's 10 times your size in prison.
And then
but anyway, then he finally realizes that
he's
this
like,
is a gay bar.
No, I'll pound your ass. He's like saying all this kind of stuff.
And there's all these big burly biker dudes everywhere.
And finally, they make Hutch realize that they're in a gay biker bar. And
he's like, "Oh, it's just $100.
It's $100. Yeah, we'll do that." And he's like, "Nope, too late now. Our nightly entertainment didn't show up, so you're gonna take over, And they make him get up on the stage and strip. And
the song they got stripped to.
What? Wait, real quick though, because this cut Kevin up. I noticed it made me laugh too. Somebody throws something at Hutch. It hits him like right in the neck.
The collarbone.
What was it?
It's like a beer bottle. Like it wasn't pleasant.
I don't know, man.
He was just like, ah.
But he caught it right in the throat.
Dude, he caught it right in the throat, and then he was like, "All right, that's it. Nobody backs baby in a corner." And he starts. He's like, "You want some Swayze action, bitches?" And he starts doing all this Patrick Swayze like Dirty Dancing moves, and they get stripped down. And Hutch goes on and takes it all the way to the ground.
And then they see his one testicle.
One ball.
Un testiculo.
And at this point, the chief shows up and stops this.
And it's Danny Trejo.
It's Danny Trejo. So at this point, we've gotten Seth Rogen, Danny Trejo,
Kristen Bell, unless you want to include her in the main cast.
Yeah, she's included in the main cast. It's just cameos. Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, Danny Trejo's the second.
Yeah.
So I thought the bartender was somebody too. Was he not?
I thought so too, but I don't.
Familiar.
He really looked like was it Sex Machine from
Dusk Till Dawn?
Yeah.
Damn it! It's like Romero's right-hand man.
Yeah, because he was also in was it Romero's remake of Dawn of the Dead, or was that?
It was Land of the Dead.
Land of the Dead. That's right.
I don't know. Look him up.
He looks like Frank Zappa.
Yeah, he does. So the chief takes him, sets him down like at his place. He lives in like this little trailer. They're sitting around a campfire,
and he's passing the guac.
And
they're eating chips.
They all are eating chips, and he's like, "This is some badass guac, man." And they're eating this guac.
I'm not even gonna lie. I would eat some guac.
I don't know if I don't like guacamole.
Dude,
I'm
basically a white girl.
Yeah, just to be.
And then of course the peyote would kick
put
in,
guac on everything and avocado. This is really going to tear you apart, isn't it?
Yes, because when I saw him, I thought, "Oh, is that insert name here?" And now that I need to conjure,
yeah, go and look it up. I'll keep.
I mean, is it gonna ruin your mojo if I just look it up?
Oh yeah, totally blue ball me, but that's fine.
So anyway,
because this is almost my wheelhouse,
It turns out the chief has used some peyote to make the guac, and they all start getting real high and start seeing stuff like
first let's see Windows laughs like crazy.
I'll remember it
Tom Savini.
Okay.
What is it?
Tom Savini. I don't know why.
He's a special effects artist, but he's like a makeup and like gore and stuff. But he also does minor acting. He was in Dawn of the Dead and Land of the
Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Creep Show, Monkey Shines, Friday 13th, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, The Prowler.
Dang.
Yeah. The man has done some stiffs.
So,
but not Fanboys.
Yeah.
He just looks like him.
Yeah.
But fatter.
So they start getting high and start seeing all this stuff like an Ewok walk up and hump Hutch's leg. That
was great.
Which almost was a bridge too far, but Hutch's facial expression while it's happening. It's like he was telling him about it, and he was kind of like laughing at him.
Yeah.
So he's just like smiling real big while we see.
Yeah.
The deed
being done, and then
Linus, is
falls back.
Yeah, it's helping him.
Yeah.
But
they are obviously tripping.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
especially when you see a star field in the words, "You are very, very, very high."
Yeah, the scrawl, the Star Wars scrawl.
I've never done peyote, but I hope it has nothing to do with Star Wars. If I
do. I'm sure it'll be something that you're into.
God, I hope not.
Just don't focus on Star Wars.
You'll be seeing some weird shit in your house.
Oh God.
No, you don't have to be high to see weird shit in this house.
I'd eat some guac with some peyote.
I would do it if I knew. If I'd eat the guac, if I knew there was
next
peyote.
time on watching.
You're like, I wouldn't eat guac. That's disgusting. But if it had peyote in it, I'm totally on.
I've known a lot of folks. A lot of my old friends from high school did all sorts of drugs.
Right.
But I never wanted to partake in any of it.
Yeah.
But I have always told myself that if I could ever get my hands on some peyote, I'd try that shit in a heartbeat. I don't know why. I think it's because I had a very small obsession with Jim Morrison for a while.
Oh, yeah.
And he used to do peyote like crazy.
Have you ever read Preacher?
No.
There's a scene where he's supposed to go out in the desert and do peyote.
Yeah, that's
and he has this totally crazy, like, just fucked up vision, and it has to deal with, like, the Wile E. Coyote and everything, and like his like fucked up existence of constantly having to chase the Roadrunner and everything, and it's fantastic. But I've like ever since I saw it, I was like,
I want to do some peyote, man. Or like that scene in I always loved that scene in Young Guns. Where they do peyote and like it's just a really funny scene.
Kiefer Sutherland Phillips has the skull painted on his
face. Kiefer Sutherland's like he's talking like this, and he's like She's my rose, man. It's just a funny scene. I love that scene. But anyways, yeah, I'd do peyote if anybody can score some. That'd be our next
FBI.
We're too old. We can't get away with it.
Pulling up.
That's true.
Who has peyote in Arkansas, man?
Oh, you just have to
really?
look for it. You can.
Okay.
I'm sure
I didn't know that.
They can get it for you.
Yeah.
Might take a week.
That wasn't a request. Just saying.
What if we got sent some? One of our
like, I'm trying to send you peyote, but I don't know how to do it via email. So.
I think anybody who's listened to the drunk cast knows not to get us messed up.
Oh God, that drunk cast. So anyway,
now we see Bottler's fucked up.
Yeah, Bottler starts having a dream, and it's about
he sees
basically his dad is Darth Vader.
And the dealership is the dark side of the Force.
Yeah. And
so it's basically our first inkling that maybe there's a side of Bottler that doesn't want to work at the dealership.
So, but at the end of the dream, he gets his hand chopped off.
Yeah.
And that wakes him up. And as he gets up, everybody's camping. Everybody's falling asleep. Mm-hmm. Windows is spooning Hutch. And Hutch is like, get off me, man. What's poking me? And Hutch is like, or Windows is like, oh, yeah.
Don't flatter yourself.
It's just my lucky R2.
And he pulls an R2-D2 out of his pocket.
You had the height and girth of D2.
So then all of a sudden the van pulls up and the chief has fixed it. He's fixed the tire and everything. And as they go to get on their way, the chief hands Linus a brown paper bag of some peyote. So he has a little something with him. And so they get on their way. Let's see, where do they go from here?
Texas.
Oh, they go to Texas now. They're on their way to Texas.
Finally.
And they hit
last.
They hit the Java Hut.
Yeah, Java the Hut.
Java the Hut, yeah.
Texas.
And this is whenever we're finally going to get to see Windows Rogue
we get to see him in full on
Rogue Leader.
Get to see him in full on white chocolate.
Oh Lord!
God,
it's got frills. He looks like a pirate.
Yep.
It looks like
he
sofa
decides
upholstery.
he decides not to wear his glasses.
Yeah. So when he walks in, because he doesn't have his glasses on,
he walks
up to a dude. He looks like Fabio style looking dude, you know.
And then you see everybody in the background like humping the
glass.
window.
They're humping, and they're making all these, you know, sexual gestures, and all of a sudden
they realize what he's walked up to.
Yeah,
and
they start getting these concerned look on their face, and they're like, "Whoa!" They're like,
Abort,
"No!"
Abort.
Windows gets up to Rogue Leader, and he says, "Are you Rogue Leader?" And she's like, "You Windows?" And he's like, "Hang on, let me put my glasses on." And when he puts his glasses on, it's a little girl sitting there. And
he's like, "Dude, you're
12.
You're 12.
He's like, "Actually, I'm 10.
10?
He starts saying, "I'm a pedophile. I'm a pedophile." And they show up and they grab him and they pull him out. And so they get back to the van and they're like, "All right, what's next? What's our plan?" And Butler's like, "Well, we gotta go home. I
gotta be back at work on Monday."
Yeah. You know, and this is where he tells him his dad gave him the company.
Of course, they don't give a shit.
Yeah, Hutch is like, "Oh, that's great. So what's the plan?" You know, and he's like, "No, you guys don't understand." And well, anyways, Harry Knowles shows up. Who is it's not the real Harry Knowles, but it's a real dude. He runs the website Ain't It Cool News, and he shows up and he's like,
he was Rogue Leader's source of all the stuff.
And he's like, "Hey, which one of you is Windows?" And they recognize him, and this is like a celebrity to Windows. And he's like, "I'm Windows," you know, and he snatches him up and starts like beating the shit out of him. And turns out this is her uncle, right?
Yeah.
His niece. Yeah. And they try to plead to him and try to tell him what they're doing, and he's like, "Well, that's stupid. That's stupid, you know."
That's the stupidest idea since Schumacher put the nips on Batman.
And finally, I think one of them's like, "What if we gave you
all the exclusive
spoilers, you know, after we get the movie?" And
that piques his interest.
Yeah.
But then he decides to play like Trivia Pursuit Star Wars style with them.
So he starts with he starts with Window.
No, he starts with Hutch.
Yeah.
Asks him who the director of Episode 5 was.
And then he moves over to Linus, and he's asked him.
He asked him a pretty obscure question from Return of the Jedi about the speeders.
Oh, right. Then he goes to.
It's like,
Windows.
why didn't Leia take
grab a speeder?
One of the speeders and didn't. It was like they were destroyed, and then Luke refers to it later in dialogue.
Goes to Windows, asks him a really easy one. It's probably the easiest.
Like the easiest of all the that and who directed Episode 5.
Well, yeah, I actually think
it's common knowledge.
It's not obscure, but it's like it's not something you really care about when you're watching the movie.
Yeah.
That's behind the scenes.
That would be something.
He asked him what's Luke's call sign.
So yeah, his would be the easiest because anybody
Red 5.
Red 5. And then he goes to the weakest link.
The weakest link. He gives him the hardest question that only a true Star Wars fan would know. Outside, because
at this point, all we've had at this point in '98 was
all the
3 movies.
It was the 3 movies that
and the holiday special.
And God.
Can we not talk about
that's really the only place you would know Kashyyyk from.
Yeah, it's from the holiday.
Maybe some of the expanded universe. Yeah,
sure, and the expanded universe was a thing.
And
it was in full gear at that point.
Oh yeah,
because that was after Heir of the Empire.
So he gives him this, what is
the name of
Wookiee's homeworld, and he's able to answer it.
Yeah,
and so
it was almost like he didn't want to answer it.
Like, that was kind of weird. You know.
He didn't want to admit that he knew, but he finally just said it was Kashyyyk.
And they, so he lets him off, and he tells him,
he's got a guy.
You're gonna go to Vegas and meet my guy. And he'll give you what you need to get in.
They're like, well, how will we know him? Like, you'll
know him.
And then they tell him the name.
The
password.
Scruffy
nerf herder.
Scruffy nerf herder. And so off to Vegas they go, right?
Yeah. Hutch is hauling ass.
Yeah, Hutch is going a little fast.
He's going 85. He's in a van.
Well, his van only goes 85.
And his speedometer only goes to 85.
Yeah. Well, cops show up.
Yeah, obviously.
And
as they tend to do.
was like, pull over, and this is where Linus decides to let them know.
I think he was fixing to pull over, and then that's when Linus is like, not the best time to tell you this, though. There's a giant bag of peyote in the back of the van.
And so...
You can't pull over with a giant bag of peyote on us.
So they decide it's time to hit the button, the red button, which...
doesn't originally work.
No.
And that's when we find out that it's that is the ignition of a nitrous tank that's inside the van.
Oh, nitrous on a van just sounds like an awful idea.
So they're able to get that sucker kicked on
by the Fonzie method,
and they go flying.
Yeah.
Of course, they can't
can't
turn or anything, and so they go straight through a billboard.
Yeah,
and into like a field.
Yeah. And
they go to jail. And this is a great scene too.
He finally started to call that cop a fag. I think he took it the wrong way.
Yeah, you got the four of them in the jail cell, and
the dude walks in. It's like breakfast.
Yeah, he said breakfast. He just starts chunking,
throwing sandwiches
at him as hard as he can, and
which is not the proper way to serve people sandwiches.
But, I mean they still have.
And one of them's like, could this get any worse? And Hutch is like, he stands up, he's like, it just got worse. He has to take a dump. So he goes over, he's like, give me your sandwiches. And he starts laying
the fucking condiments and everything on the toilet
seat.
He's like, I'm not sitting on this. It's covered in criminal ass germs. Why don't you just hover?
As he sits down and starts to go, the cop comes back in, and he looks over, he's like, oh, what are you doing with that ham sandwich, boy? And so
then he wipes with one of Window's socks.
As they're walking away, you hear Window say, "Hutch, you owe me a sock."
I had to wipe with something.
And so it turns out they called Zoe
to
come and bail him out, and she
becomes the fifth character,
right?
Yeah,
and so she gets all the money out of the comic book store.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know how does that even work? Like, she just raided the register.
Yeah. There's, safes are a thing too.
Access to the account.
You have to have a bank account to usually open a business. So.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but she's just
probably the number one employee and probably the most responsible person that works there.
It's true.
Yeah.
True. It's almost like you have
knowledge. I am not the most responsible.
Working at a comic book store.
At the moment, I'm probably one of the least responsible.
Tony?
Tony's
Dalton.
Definitely Tony's probably the most responsible.
Yeah.
He handles most of the day-to-day shit. I just read comics and talk to people
you don't do
all
anything.
Day. Not really.
I don't even think you check people out anymore.
Oh, I check them out, James.
Well,
as soon as they walk in the door, I'm like,
you don't even. I think I went in there one time, and it took you like 20 minutes to get my stuff out. I'm just standing there like at the register, like
you were not standing at the register. You were walking around. I need my fucking
books, bro.
Yeah. You were shooting the shit.
So save it for Yelp, man.
But anyway, so
she comes.
She bails him out, but the judge needs to talk to him.
Mm-hmm. The
Judge Reinhold. And we get our third celebrity cameo,
which is
Billy D. Williams.
Billy D.
And
what was the malt liquor that he was in
Colt
the commercial?
40?
Colt 40.
Yeah.
I had a friend that actually went to go meet him and took a can of it with him, so he could get a picture. So he can get a picture with him holding it and stuff. I can't remember if he actually did. I know he got a picture with him for sure, but I think he was holding the.
I think in How I Met Your Mother, they play a game where you tape 2 like 40-ounce beers to your hands. You call it Edward 40 hands. You can't you can't take them off until you. And you can't do anything. You can't take your. You can't pull your pants down. You can't do anything when your hands are taped up with holding 2 40-ounce beers. I don't know. Anyways,
who can't?
Yeah. Can you? I've never tried. I want to try it. But they tell him their story because he's like, I'm gonna let you guys go,
But
not because I believe this story you just told me, but because I believe your dad. And he's talking about Bottler, and he gives him a note from his dad that says, "Home now or you're fired."
Right.
And so Bottler has to do some thinking. Does he want to continue on with this little adventure, or and lose his job, lose the company, or does he want to go home and probably lose his friends? Definitely lose Linus, literally. So they just park in the desert somewhere,
and he's just like staring off of a cliff,
off into space, and they're able to finally convince him to. They give him some.
Zoe takes Hutch down. That was
Zoe
pretty
does
impressive.
take Hutch down.
Yeah,
because they're like Windows says, he plans out the rest of their trip to get to Vegas, and says we're going to drop her off at the airport, but she's like, no, I'm not going home now. And she's like, if any of you can take me down, I'll go home. And nobody wants to do anything. And then Hutch is like, sorry, and we don't want to hurt you, and he's like, I'm gonna go get our boy, and he starts to walk away, and she just jumps on his back and like puts him in a chokehold and just starts taking him down.
And they're just really impressed.
They're just looking like, I don't want to do anything. But anyway, so they convince Eric to continue on with the journey, and they make it to Vegas, and they decide to do Vegas fanboy style, which is sit in a hotel room and watch Stargate. And Hutch is sitting there clipping his toenails, and Zoe's like, I think you should probably hit the showers because you smell like something shit in my nose. And so he gets up and he takes his shirt off, and she's like, oh my God, it's like you what did she say?
On Alf.
Alf.
I can totally relate to Hutch in so many ways.
Alf.
Yeah, because you look like someone fell on the wolf, man.
Yeah. So Bottler and Linus go down to get ready to meet the contact. Well, I guess Hutch. Hutch showers.
Windows is going to be hitting
and Windows
tables.
Wants to hit the tables, right?
Yeah. So the tables. First.
Windows, Hutch, and Zoe go down to
play some
cards, and
Windows loses.
Yeah, he's not doing
terribly.
Yep.
Spectacularly. Almost hit perfect 21, but overshot it by 1.
I'm glad you were paying attention.
Yeah, I didn't notice all that either.
He drew 22. Like that was the total he got, which is.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I didn't pay that much attention.
And the card he got was a 6, so.
But Windows is talking about how this is his luck, and like
he calls himself kryptonite to women.
He's female kryptonite.
Cramming another nerd thing down there.
Yeah. But Zoe.
Who's got a thing for
Zoe has a thing for Windows, and she's trying to
horse shit.
Oh, whatever. Why?
Why would she?
Why wouldn't she?
I don't know. It just stands out from the rest of this movie that he's got this godlike creature who wants nothing more than to be with him and to live in poverty with him and talk about Star Wars with him.
And what's funny is, and Windows is of course oblivious to all this.
Yeah,
he doesn't even see her
because he just thinks of her as one of the guys.
Yeah, and that's which she probably wanted and has said things like that. Well, I don't know about this character in particular, but I've heard things like just one of the guys. You just want to be treated like one of the guys. We tend not to stick our dicks in each other. Also, she's done nothing but treat them like shit.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like around that time, like 2009, 2010, was when the friend zone became the popular phrase.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It was just...
But she gets ticked at Windows because he's oblivious to what... She's basically trying to tell him that she likes him, but he's not catching on. So she goes off because
him and Hutch see these hotties over at the slot machines.
And this right here is my favorite line in the whole movie, which is Hutch says, he looks over there and he says, Man, I would knock the nickels out of that pussy. I can't do it the way he does it, but that to me is that's my favorite line in the whole movie.
No, say it again.
I would not. I can't do it.
Let's do it.
Hang on, I'll try. Hang on, I gotta quit. Laughing. Well, I would knock the nickels out of that pussy. He does it so good. I would knock the nickel. Anyways, so
I can only imagine like his character from Fantastic Beasts saying that.
dude,
just dead.
Yeah. So they go over and they start chatting up these two ladies. Hutch bringing the amazing, pickup line. You ladies looking for love in Alderaan places. And
of course, they don't understand.
So Windows has to try to explain it to him.
What my socially retarded friend is trying to say is...
So they end up actually taking him back to the hotel room. And this is also one of my favorite scenes in the movie, which is Hutch sitting in the bed with the lady, and he's like...
doing his Jedi mind tricks.
Well, first he's like, yeah,
I own my company.
I own my own company. I got a big ass mansion. I got a butler, Maurice. I got a Bentley in the drive, flux capacitor. 1.21 gigawatts don't come cheap. And she's like, she's all into it, or he thinks, And so he looks at her for a second. He brings his hand up. He's sitting there for like a good 5 seconds, like not saying anything, just with his hand up, and he's like,
"You want to
get on my lap?" And she like jumps on his lap, and he's like, "Oh, you want to take your shirt off?" And so she takes her shirt off, and he's really thinking like,
this is actually working.
He's doing it, And so we cut over to Windows, who's with the other lady,
and he's talking about
they're drinking yoo-hoos and talking about Zoe and why does she storm off like that, and the lady helps him realize that Zoe likes him,
by spilling the beans that they're
she also reveals that they are escorts. So Windows goes into the other room, and at this point Hutch has a homegirl down to just a shirt and panties, and as Windows busts in, Hutch is like, "Windows, what are you doing, man? The force is strong with this one."
And he's like, "Actually, your hour's up."
Yeah, and he's like, "What do you mean our hour's up?" He's like, "Yeah, they're hookers," and he's this way. You telling me I done spent the last hour sweet talking a smoking hot whore?
Whore, except he doesn't pronounce it like whore. He says whore.
And he says, "Actually, we're male escorts, and you owe us $2,000." And she's like, "You can just take it up with Roach." And it's like, "Who's Roach?" And all of a sudden, you get a knock on the door, in comes Roach, who is our
second,
our fourth cameo, but it's the same person.
Yeah,
so it's Seth
Rogen again,
playing a different character.
He looks kind of like
dirt
bag,
white trash.
Yeah.
He's got a wife beater on. He's tatted up, and he comes in and he starts like raiding their fridge, and
gets into the peanuts.
Yeah, and Hutch is like,
"That's like $10 a peanut,
it's like $10 a peanut right there, man." He's like, "I'll tell you what, why don't I just take it out of the $2,000 you owe me?" And so he ends up like choking Hutch. He's like grabs Hutch and he throws him up against the wall and he's choking him, and Hutch is like, he's trying to tell like Rebel Alliance. And Windows is like, "Rebel Alliance." He sees your tattoo. He's got Star Wars tattoos.
Did he tell him to enunciate?
And yes, he's got a joke. And he's like, "We're Star Wars fans." He's like, "You're Star Wars fans, so why don't you say so?" And he lets Hutch go. And he's like, "Oh, you like this?" And he's showing him her tattoos. He's like, he's doing the Yoda. And then he goes over to this arm, and it's the Empire.
Which arm is that? For people who can't see,
left arm. So on I think if I'm not mistaken, the right arm was the right arm was the light side, and the left arm was the dark side. And then he pulls back his shirt, and on his back he's got a tattoo of Jar Jar Binks and Anakin. And he's doing this gang sign thing. He's like, "Jar Jar Binks, man, that guy is going to be the shit." You watch.
And he instantly regrets that decision after episode 1 came out.
So they're like, "Oh, cool. So we're cool, right?" He's like, "Well, if cool means I'm gonna rip your tongue out and lick your asshole with it, then yeah, we're cool." And then
this is when
Hutch decides
breaks a vase over his head,
and they book it.
Meanwhile,
let's cut over to Bottler though. Bottler and
because this was happening around the same time.
They walk up to the security guard at TrekCon because there's a TrekCon
this is a Trek convention,
which is actually our 5th appearance. But it is also Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen is that? Yeah, he's that alien security
and he's
guard.
got because he's what race was that?
I had no idea.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
I was
Was it even a Star Trek race?
Ferengi,
I don't know.
Klingon.
But he had
some deep lore shit.
Yeah.
Like that wasn't even.
It's only in the novels. You wouldn't know about it.
No,
but he's got like this crazy headgear going on with I don't know. It's covering up half of his face. You only see his mouth.
Yeah, his mouth is the only actual
They give him the password, and he just grabs them by the shirt and drags them
off into this random part of the casino.
Arcade.
Yeah.
It looks like an arcade, but yeah, I guess it was.
Yeah, it just looked like slot machines.
Well, was it?
It's probably like
but
a
it's
back
empty.
It was shut down.
Yeah, for the con, I guess.
And so all of a sudden they hear the
they hear a beam in.
the noise that it makes when you beam in on Star Trek, and out from the darkness corner, this guy comes and he's
I started laughing because I knew as soon as I saw the silhouette, I knew who that was.
and because he talked before, he was saying you're late.
Yeah, he's in the darkness.
And you know who this is.
He throws this folder to him, and he steps out of the darkness, and it's William Shatner, who is the next celebrity cameo. And
was it at that same time, actually, after they all started walking off, you actually saw the Star Trek nerds.
Yeah, the guys from
that noticed them there.
Yeah.
So
they're talking to William Shatner. It turns out he's the
inside.
Yeah, he's Harry Knowles' man,
and it's because he owed Harry Knowles.
Yeah, he owes him a favor. Yeah.
That this apparently makes them square.
It's funny because they're like,
How'd you
get this stuff? He's like, I'm William Shatner. I can score anything.
And they start naming off some random stuff.
Jerry Ryan's panties. 10,000 shares of Priceline.
Priceline.
And so finally...
and as he says, next time you see Harry Knowles, tell him we're square. And then he starts to walk off, but he looks back and is like, "Are those friends of yours?"
Yeah,
and it's the Star Trek nerds.
It's the nerds from Iowa.
Yeah, they start chasing them, and so
Shatner runs off.
Finally, they converge.
He just kind of disappears into the shadows wherever
Scotty beamed him out.
Shatner goes.
And so our group finally converges
and
again.
they ran into Zoe on the running from the pimp, so everybody's there now.
At the bottom of the elevators.
And they...
the pimp grabs Windows and
Hutch, and then the other guys
come
up behind Bottler
and the main Seth Rogen nerd makes the mistake of pointing at Hutch saying
first he's like, it's him, he's the one who destroyed Khan,
and then Hutch says, well, you called Han Solo a bitch, and then Seth Rogen pimp.
No, then Seth Rogen Admiral is like, Han Solo is a bitch. And then that makes Seth Rogen pimp be like, no one calls Han Solo a bitch. And then
the Seth Rogens fight each other.
Yeah, the Seth Rogens fight each other. And
they'll obviously, since
our group is able to shoot out since they're so they make it to the van, but here comes Seth Rogen pimp. Jumps on the hood and
he's like, you sons of bitches, get out of there, I'm gonna kill you, this is not copacetic.
And they zoom around the parking lot and they're finally able to get him off. And
Zoe hits him with the pressed
ham. But then at some point,
pressed ham. I wonder if that was really Kristen Bell's ass.
No, I don't think so.
But at some point,
so you're telling me it was a stunt ass?
Yeah, they do that a lot.
Stunt double ass.
When in movies, when women moon, dude, even back, Lucas here, even back as far as American Graffiti. If you see their face, they ain't showing you their ass. If you see their ass, you're not seeing their face.
Yeah.
At some point, though, the door
they didn't shut the door.
Yeah, they didn't shut the door all the way.
So when he was doing his juking and jiving, Linus fell out.
He just sprawled out on the
Jewy,
on the pavement.
I call Jewy.
and so they take him to the hospital.
And then our final
cameo.
It wasn't our final cameo.
Well, it's not our final, no, because we got some more.
We got quite a few.
It's Carrie Fisher.
Yep.
And
she's the doctor.
She's the doctor, and she says, you got to take him home. He's too sick to be doing this.
Yeah,
she's getting emotional.
No, talking too much. I need something to drink. No, it's empty.
No.
I need to go get another one. Merle, go get me another one. Or you tell this part of the story.
All right.
So, anyways, they go in and they start talking to. Oh no, it's funny though. They're like, She's like, what's so important that you have to get to San Francisco? And nobody wants to say it. And finally, Zoe's like, Star Wars. And she's like, Star Wars?
Carrie Fisher said, Star Wars?
Yeah, it was great.
The only other thing that I've seen her in outside of Star Wars that it took me so long to recognize her in.
Thanks, sir.
Of course.
Jay and Silent Bob, yeah.
At that point, though, I didn't know a lot of actors and stuff like that, so it wasn't until like way later on that I watched it. You follow the book too? Yeah, they think the book.
I live my life by it.
Yep.
All right. That's so good. I love that movie.
Yep.
So they go in to talk to Linus, and they tell him like we got to go back, and Linus is like, no, we can't stop now.
We're so close.
And
he actually looks kind of like shit.
He does look bad at that point. Yeah. But they decide, screw it. We're going for it. So they bust him out. Like, they get him in a wheelchair, and they just take off.
And they get stopped in the hallway by Carrie Fisher.
Carrie Fisher stops him, and he's like, please, let me do this. And so she gives him some pills and tells him to take them, whatever. And he gives her this big kiss, right? And then when they quit kissing, he says, I love you. And she says, I know.
Now, here's a little fun fact from this. That wasn't live. They put the audio track from Return of the Jedi when she says that.
Nice.
To fit that in.
She didn't actually say that on set or whatever.
No. She didn't. Yeah, they
didn't
use the sound.
Yeah.
Sound bite from Return of the Jedi when she says, I know.
I didn't know that, but I get what you're saying. Yeah.
So let's see, where do we go? So
I think at that point they get to the gas station, right?
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah,
so that was like
Windows comes run into the bathroom trying to get in because he's got to take a shit, but the door's locked.
And a guy walks up and he's like, "Gotta go, huh?"
Like a big gulp.
Yeah, and it's fucking Kevin Smith.
Yeah, he says nothing worse than a locked door when what does he say?
A locked shitter when you gotta drop a load.
And all of a sudden the door opens and Jay comes out.
Jason
Mewes busts out and he's like,
that's it.
He's like spitting and stuff and he wiping his mouth.
I don't want to do this anymore. The guy comes out and he gives Kevin Smith some money.
So it's like, what I tell you, sweet woman.
Sweetly, right?
That's right. Tell your friends.
Oh, God. I don't want to do this anymore. So there's more cameos right there.
Yeah, I was talking about like big Star Wars ones.
Well, yeah.
I mean, apart from the original.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Because we still got one more big Star Wars one coming up.
So then I think we get to Skywalker Ranch at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, they're driving down the road. There's that funny scene where they're driving down the road.
Yeah.
And,
he finally
Windows had this sign earlier, and it was like
"Flash if you love Wookiees."
Yeah, and the first time he did it earlier on in the movie, the woman pretended like she was going to, and then flipped him off.
Right.
But this time
she actually does it, and he spends forever just saying, "Oh my God, oh my God," and finally they're like,
"No, don't get us wrong. There's no titties in this movie.
No,
it was bra.
Yeah.
But diet flashing, as some of us call it.
Oh, yeah.
No, I just made that up.
But they're like, would you shut up? That was 100 miles ago.
Stop living in the past. Then we get to the, oh my God, Lucas Valley Road right there. We got to steal that sign.
So they finally get to Skywalker Ranch. And they're formulating their plan, right? Yeah. And Hutch tells them they got to use the grappling hook. And
then we get the establishing shot of them walking up to Tom Sawyer.
That's a great song. And then you get grappling hook goes over the side of the fence,
and then
pulls
the music
up,
stops.
and then like real weird. Windows like pulls himself up over the fence, drops down, and is able to open it. And Hutch comes running through, does that like ninja flip thing on the ground and starts like army crawling while everybody else is just running. So they run through Skywalker Ranch, and they finally make it to a door that's like.
It looks like one of those Death Star doors.
Yeah, like a bay door.
Blast doors.
Blast doors.
Yeah.
And they use the
key card they got from Shatner in his little package.
Yeah. See, whenever it turned red, I was very skeptical at that point, and then the doors opened. And I was like, oh, okay.
And it's like a vault thing of just
Lucas memorabilia. Yeah. It's not just it's mostly Star Wars, but there's indie stuff, and then the Willow Spill
the Willow Spill book in one
that nobody gives a shit about except for
the Willow. Yes, the Willow Spill.
I used to really like that movie when I was a kid.
I haven't watched that in over 20 years.
Really,
for sure.
And then of course Linus is playing with a lightsaber. It's like nobody cares about Willow.
But what they don't know while they're looking at all this stuff...
You got some guards looking in on
them. They are being watched.
This is something, too.
It comes from
their uniforms and stuff is from THX 1138, which is Lucas's first, film it was project. It was a project he did in school, but then he actually,
he released
made it like a full-length feature.
Oh, I never knew that.
But, so then these guards show up. It's 3 of them. And... they take their helmets off, and one of them, the leader, is Ray Park, who is Darth Maul. And he says this scene like, "You're about to get mauled, boy," and he whips these
impact batons.
Yeah, and he starts flipping around and stuff. Well, they end up escaping and running.
Scooby-Doo chase scene.
Yeah, and they jump down into
an elevator. Well, first they
go in the elevator,
and then you hear the Yoda's is going up yours.
And they end up having to jump down into a garbage chute.
That is a replica of the Death Star garbage chute, minus the water in the Dianoga.
And so eventually they make their way to...
and then the hilarious scene where they think that the
chute's closing, like they start hearing the noises and they think it's closing in on them, and they're freaking out. And then Zoe just points out, like, dude, it's just the AC.
And the exit's right.
And the exit's right under it, so they just open the door and get out. If you were wondering how we teleported from that to the scene that James
I'm just trying to speed it up because we've been talking about this forever. And it's like midnight.
So anyway, now we jump to Lucas's office, which is full of more Star Wars memorabilia and a laptop. With as you guys noticed,
the Jar Jar
Binks with
the gangster pose. Yeah.
But
on there is
they see a rough cut of episode 1. So of course they start it, but more guards.
Before the guards start showing up.
And
then they all start to hide.
Merle, can't nobody hear you?
You're not in the room,
go to the
man.
bathroom.
He won't talk when he's at the table.
So a couple guards start showing up. Mm-hmm. So they all start trying to run around or try to hide. Zoe and Windows land on the couch together.
On top
and this
of
is
each
where
other.
Windows reveals his love for her, and they have their little moment. Everybody hides but Hutch. He can't find a spot to hide, so he just jumps behind the door. Well, they bust open the door, and 2 guards walk in.
And it's not the guards that we saw earlier.
No, it's new guards. So they take their helmet. Well, I think they take one of them takes his helmet off, and it's I just had his name and I totally forgot it.
Oh no, I was gonna say Will Arnett.
No, it's not Will Arnett.
I forgot what his name is because he's from Last Man on Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will Forte. Will Forte. That's who it is.
Right.
And then the other one is Danny McBride. No. This is what's dude's name? Craig Robinson. Craig Robinson. Daryl from The Office.
It's like, what you doing?
So he gets some. They're like, get out here! Come on, everybody, line up against the wall.
And then Hutch starts pretending.
Yeah, Hutch comes in here like, yeah, line up against the wall. What are you doing? And so, anyways, Then
they have a Mexican standoff.
Yeah, so one of them's like, step away from the Millennium Falcon to Linus, and Linus just grabs it and like yanks it up.
He's like, I'm feeling crazy.
I'm gonna smash this Millennium Falcon, and Will Forte's like, no, I don't think you'll do it, you know. And so Bottler picks up the training remote. He's like,
it's like if he puts that down, I will smash this training remote to a million pieces, erasing it from history.
So Will Forte grabs a Yoda puppet, and he's like, I'll destroy this puppet. And
at that point, Zoe pulls up
an Ewok mask.
Yeah, and
she's got a lighter to it. I will burn this.
Burn it.
So then I think a bunch of other guards
show up.
The rest of the guards, yeah.
And it's like, okay, we're done here. They're going to take them to the big old conference room.
Yeah, so they get them sat down, and this is where we get, I think, our last celebrity cameo, right?
Yeah.
Which is, this is Danny McBride.
Yes.
And he's like lead.
You spoiled it.
Sorry,
it was such a huge reveal.
I know.
He just
how dare you?
Well, technically, there's one more because you can barely hear it, but on the phone is actual dialogue from George Lucas.
Oh,
but it's not dialogue.
Actually, appear on screen.
It wasn't dialogue related to the scene.
Him the whole time.
It was dialogue from like one of his appearances in like Robot Chicken or something. It was just random dialogue spewing, and then
I don't like his voice anyway.
I don't even know what it sounds like.
The best thing was Mad TV's version of George Lucas when Will Sasso used to play him. Did any of y'all ever see this?
Probably.
Oh God, it's hilarious. You need to look it up. Anyway, so he shows up and he tells him,
"We've got a dossier on all."
He knows about all of them.
He knows about Hutch's one grape-like testicle,
one ball, and
that he's a Rush fan.
Mm-hmm.
But he was wearing a Rush shirt.
Yeah,
and so he gets a phone call.
And it's George Lucas.
And everybody, they all start freaking out.
Like, I can hear his beard.
Shut up. And so he's talking to me, and he's like, he asked him questions like, how did you guys get in here? And they start telling him, well, we got a grappling hook, and we used grappling, and he's like,
did William
Shatner have anything to do with
this?
No. And so finally, he's like,
I've just been told that what I said earlier, I no longer believe.
And so he basically says George Lucas is flattered by what they've done.
And I've been told that I feel the same way.
Yeah. And he's going to let him go, right? He's not going to press charges or anything.
If they can
prove that they're what they say they are, which is fanboys.
Yeah.
With a simple quiz.
So they decide to test them, right?
Oh,
they get them all separate, in the room, and
it started with actual questions.
Yeah, they start asking them Star Wars questions.
And then he starts getting into
he starts asking them sexual questions. You know, like what's the
Where's the clitoris?
Where's
the G spot? Where's the G spot? I'm sorry, I don't know where it is.
If I asked you to perform
it's a myth, right?
Mississippi handbag, or would your testicle?
No, the female orgasm. That's the real myth.
Will one person not in this movie.
That is not a Louisiana
right? The one actor that is not. We are the clit. I am the clit commander.
You definitely don't want
so
run the clips the wrong way. We need to do James Tyler Paul.
That would be great. So all of them pass because they can answer all the nerdy questions, but they can't answer a single question about a female, you know?
Uh-huh.
And so they bring them all back to the table, and they say, all right, you've passed, charges are dropped, you can go.
Except...
And actually...
George actually has a heart.
He's going to let you watch the movie.
But only one of them.
They start freaking out. Yeah, oh my God, I can't believe it. But they're like, actually, just you. And he points at Linus. And so Linus gets to watch the movie, and they all wait for him outside. And he comes out, and they're looking at him like to tell him, well, what do you think? And all he says is, Chewy. Yeah. So they just hop in, and they find... I don't know. They find a random campsite, or they just
go camping.
Stop in the woods or something. But they end up camping, and the Hutch and Zoe and windows are off by the campfire, like playing or whatever, playing a game. But Bottler's drawing.
Yeah.
He's doing some more penciling,
and here comes Linus, all Obi-Wan Kenobi-esque.
Oh yeah, he's all gone, sagey. Man.
And I think the picture he was actually drawing was them, right? With the tentacles and stuff.
Yeah, grabbing them and and they have their moment.
Yeah,
of like,
it's like their closure.
Yeah,
moment,
yeah.
And he says it's not about Star Wars. It was about them. It was like that was their thing. That was the driving impetus. Which, thank God, because I was very concerned for these people's mental state. But I can get behind that much more than
It was about the journey.
It was about the journey.
One last hurrah,
being back together.
The meaning of friendship
before Linus died from his cancer.
And so Bottler like gets up and goes down to the
so.
campfire, and he asks, Linus, you gonna come? And he's like, no, I'm good here, And so
then we have a close.
This is kind of an emotional scene.
Yeah, it is an emotional scene, man.
Because it's meant to be the.
And so we cut
6 months later
to the opening night of the movie,
and they're camping,
and they're camped out
outside a movie theater.
Outside of a movie, of course. And it's Windows and Zoe and Bottler. They wake up. Hutch is over at the garage, as he calls it.
And he's dressed kind of fancy.
Yeah, well, it's still that Han Solo look.
What it is they're all dressed as one of the main four.
Yeah.
Bottler has a Luke Skywalker-esque, that jacket. It's kind of like the jacket he wore at the end of A New Hope.
Who is Zoe?
Zoe's Princess Leia in her slave outfit.
Obi-Wan.
Much to Disney's chagrin.
Windows. And then, of course, Hutch is Han Solo.
Yeah. But he's taking down the sign at his place that says Carriage House, and he's putting up one that says the Hutch Touch.
Complete detail.
Yeah, so he's
finally started that business.
Yeah, so his story arc's coming out.
Yeah. Eric, as they're waiting in line, or they call Hutch and they're like, "Dude, you need to come on. It's time."
And you notice he clears an ear, but puts the phone up to the other ear.
Oh, he does he moves his hair back, but he puts it on the other ear.
Yeah,
that's funny. I didn't notice that.
Small details.
He tells him, "Come on, man. It's starting." So he's like, "I'm on my way." So Hutch shows up. He's running down the line trying to find him, and he gets to the group, and these two Boba Fett's. These guys come in Boba Fett costumes, come up, and they're like, "Hey, are you Eric Bottler?" He's like, "Yeah." And they take their helmets off, but they do the and he's like, "Are you the Eric Bottler that wrote this comic?" So he's put a comic out now, and he's actually, his shirt's he has a shirt on cover of his comic,
completing his story.
Yeah. And Zoe and Windows are a couple.
Yeah.
So their story arc is.
The whole. Was that your R2D2? Nope.
My penis.
That's my penis.
So they come up and he's like, "We just got your, the first issue of your comic or whatever," and he's like, "Oh, thanks, guys. I really appreciate that." And they're like, "Well, we don't, because it's it's trash and all that." Well, his brother. Bottler's brother shows up behind him.
It's like, "What's up, my nerds?" Ask the man for an autograph.
Yeah, he makes him give him an autograph, so he's like, "Chaz, what are you doing here?" He's like, "Come on, man, it's the wars."
And he's like, "All right, bubble fags, in the line."
And so we get into the movie.
They smuggled beers.
They smuggled a 6-pack of beer. Everybody gets a beer, and.
The good old days when you could bring fake weapons into the movie theater.
It's true, man. Yep. Everybody's all excited,
Everyone's dressed up.
Yeah.
Oh, and then, of course, when the 20th Century Fox fanfare started, when someone's dressed up as a Tusken Raider, and they got the roar.
And then they,
do a little toast.
Cheers to Linus, and then... The last thing is Bottler asks,
"Wait a minute, what if the movie sucks?"
Yeah, and then
none of them had even considered that.
I think that's why Linus didn't give spoilers. He just
he says at one point in his little Obi-Wan moment of it's when he's saying you need to keep crappy effects.
And, because he said it's not about the special effects and stuff like that,
which is ironic considering the special effects heaviness of the prequel trilogy.
Yeah, so that's probably why he said that.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a great movie. I love this movie.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I really don't have much to say about it. I was quiet for a lot of this because I have no objection.
That's good.
I've only like ripping on movies.
Oh, I guess if we do 3 Ninjas next,
have you
more than make up for it.
I will be screaming into the mic.
Have you seen Sex Drive? Because it kind of had.
No.
Oh, okay.
I really don't watch. Like, I'm not joking. I don't watch a lot of comedies.
Well,
they're not like stoner dipshit.
It kind of sort of had that. They kind of combined that in this with Windows' whole thing, because the main character has like this pen pal or whatever, this chick that he's been sweet talking and everything, and they finally decide like they're gonna go for it.
It reminds me of that Tom Green movie, Road Trip.
Road Trip.
Oh, Road Trip. That was a great movie, dude.
That was like the beginning. Did Road Trip come before Detroit Rock City?
No.
No. Okay, so Detroit Rock City was like.
It was the earliest one I remember. Yeah, anyway.
Earliest road trip movie.
Well, I'm sure there were plenty before.
Oh yeah.
The movie that he's talking about.
It's a mad world is a road trip movie. Think about it.
The one he's talking about, Sex Drive, has the dude that plays.
Yeah, that one kid.
Dang it, he's in The Office.
The one guy.
He's also in Kick-Ass.
Dwight Jr.
Oh yeah, I know
Dwight Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. He
actually
was also in a Hot Tub Time Machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a great movie.
Hot Tub Time Machine? Fucking loved Hot Tub Time Machine.
Number 2?
Huh? Number 2 is whatever. I love the first movie though. That shit was hilarious.
I like Craig Robinson.
Craig Robinson's great.
So yeah, that's it. That's
all we got for you. What do you want now?
Episode like
Jesus.
That's surely to God that lasted a lot longer.
You've probably stopped listening by now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever, as long as they subscribed.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, we anything else you guys want to say about it? It's good stuff.
It's very good stuff.
Fanboys.
Best movie we've watched so far.
Star Wars rules and Star Trek obviously sucks. Dicks.
That's actually accurate.
I can't. I feel I haven't
for the entirety of Talking Nerdy.
I feel I haven't seen enough Star Trek to really, but I mean, I'm not a diehard Star Wars fan either.
Star Wars is pew pew laser fun.
Yeah.
And Star Trek is
a lot of diplomacy,
a lot of quiet conversations over a hot cup of tea about the
fucking
boring.
Okay, no, listen though. There's a lot of sex with aliens, which I condone. I'm completely okay with that.
That was more of Kirk's thing.
Yeah. But
they don't like original series.
I understand it was a necessary stepping stone, but what you do with a stepping stone is you step off.
Yeah,
I'm step off.
There were some
I don't really care. I'm not hating on either.
But I'm more of a
series, really. I don't even hate on the prequels.
I'm fine with Star Wars.
Yeah,
but let's not say that it's more than it is.
Like it's the greatest thing that ever.
Like there's people, there's honest to God Jedi churches.
Yeah, James is gonna lynch us for this.
No, I mean I know how Kevin feels about Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Merle puts on an act. Merle freaking loves Star Wars.
I love Star Wars.
He loves it.
I like
Trek
Star
too.
Wars.
I like Star Wars.
Empire Strikes Back.
I love Star Wars.
I mean, I could say that I'll watch all the movies. There was actually a while back on YouTube. They still have it on there too. Before the 7th movie came out, they have it's the whole movie. Every single movie, and they're all on top of each other with all of the audio for all of them playing all at once. It's awful chaos, but it's the funniest shit ever at the same time.
I'm one of the people that liked and still likes the prequel trilogy.
Yeah. Of course it was the movies that I was seeing as I was a kid. So I appreciated them then, and then later on you're like, these weren't so great. The thing that made me kind of go back and sort of like them more is actually the animated series, Clone Wars. Clone Wars and Rebels actually really made me like the prequels a lot more.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
like I'll admit that Attack of the Clones has got some
Attack of the Clones is awful.
Really bad stuff in it.
Yeah.
Mainly to do with Anakin and Padme.
Yeah.
But
there's not enough good stuff in Attack of the Clones to outweigh the bad.
The action stuff is great. Mm-hmm. I love all the fights.
Now, granted, it ends on a high note.
The Imperial March.
Yeah.
That's the first time I'd heard that since
Empire.
Yeah. I don't know. I just always wanted them to do something that wasn't connected to this Skywalker family. You know, that was the thing that I liked about Clone Wars is because you followed.
That's what fan fiction's for.
That's true too, James. I need some of your fan fiction of Star Wars that doesn't center around the main Jedi Council.
I don't got you.
It
bro.
is sexually explicit beyond your wildest nightmares.
Yes,
it's Jabba the Hutt. Sexy Jabba.
Sexy
Jabba, man.
Yeah.
I mean, because Jabba was banging every single one of those dancers that was in there. Every one of them.
If they're lucky, he doesn't have a penis. I mean, honestly, that's the only way I can sleep at night. So Jabba doesn't have a penis.
I feel like he's got to have something.
Well, we don't know
how do they procreate?
Yeah, how do they procreate? Please.
Are they asexual?
Spray on some eggs, or maybe they are.
It's seahorse mating.
Maybe budding, maybe
right?
Buds. Maybe Salacious Crumb is like
are they asexual?
The female of the species, or
I guess they do obviously have females and males of their species because they touched on that in Clone Wars.
Yep.
The first, movie, which was the cartoon movie that came out.
Oh yeah,
that was
which was basically episodes.
Yeah, was it Aronofsky or
no? I'm talking about the Clone Wars that you're talking about. You liked.
Series. Yeah, like the CG.
Just it's basically like a couple episodes stuck together that they released as a movie, but that followed
like it has
Jabba's kid being captured.
Oh
yeah,
and them rescuing it and everything. So they obviously have babies.
I feel like I've seen that somehow, and that's
it came out on Merle's birthday.
Yeah, it did.
August 15th of 2000.
2000.
A happy late birthday.
8 or 9.
Mine was the 13th. So.
27 now.
I'm 29.
Facebook told me it was your birthday, but I couldn't think of anything nice to say. I almost typed it out. I was like, I didn't know you were birthed. I thought you just came together, congealed of Mountain Dew and Dorito dust.
That would have been great, dude.
Maybe his family would have seen that and been like, oh, they're bullying him.
Everybody would have loved that, dude.
Because it would be almost true, because I live on Mountain Dew.
Are you planning on getting the Mountain Dew flavored Doritos?
No.
Okay.
Are they?
Yes, that's actually a thing.
What about the Dorito flavored Mountain Dew?
Hasn't that been a thing? No. I feel like that's been a thing.
I don't know.
Wait,
I've had ranch soda before.
No.
Like, I'm not even kidding.
We lost James for a second there.
I don't know what I was thinking for
He was trying to figure it out.
That's nasty. That I will try.
The Dorito flavored Mountain Dew? Or the Mountain Dew flavored
Doritos I'll try.
The
drink flavored as Doritos? No. I did try.
It's gamer fuel, bro.
I did try the... Lay's has the 3 flavors out right now.
We got those at Subway right now.
The crispy taco is pretty good.
I really
want to try the big
we're going way off subject now, but I would really like to crumple those up and put them on as like a steak salad or something like that.
Crispy taco,
so good.
Fried green tomatoes, what's the third one?
Bagel. Everything bagel.
Oh.
They always have to have one that doesn't make any fucking sense for chips. Are we done now?
Nope.
You want to talk about the biscuits and gravy chips now?
We already did the spiel at the beginning.
Yeah, but that's what gives it's pepper gravy, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's all we have to talk about. We'll see next time for 3 Ninjas, finally.
Maybe.
And then we're going to do, hopefully it'll be my turn to pick. We're going to watch Star Wars Episode 1.
Maybe.
I feel like you don't want to open that can of worms.
Because we're going to watch an actual serious movie.
We tend to watch... Okay.
And they're going to watch
I've got Downfall if you like your Hitlers.
I'm living in that time right now.
I know you're okay with subtitles because we share a Crunchyroll.
Yep.
Oh, what kind of weird shit?
And we got some things to talk about when that mic goes off.
I'm leaving after this. We're going to talk about My Hero or whatever.
Dude, come on.
My Hero Academia?
I'm so sick of hearing about this.
If you want to talk about My Hero Academia, we can do it, James.
I don't.
We can have a serious conversation right now.
We've been having a serious conversation.
We can talk about superheroes. It's okay.
Drew's been trying to get me to watch it too. The trick is to not do it.
Don't be afraid. Hey, listen. Don't be afraid to be a better you. Okay.
Okay. I did see some page I like on Facebook shared I guess every week they do like anime fight of the week.
Okay.
And it was this big dude with
All Might versus Nomu. Did he have a brain thing going on? Probably. It was the end of last season.
I didn't hardly watch it. I thought it was like silly looking. No, actually, it did look pretty cool. It did look pretty cool, but
I mean, I don't care if you don't like
what's
it.
What's this
like
guy with the weird hair?
Every anime character ever.
No, the big dude with
All Might.
What is it?
All Might.
All Might.
All Might.
That's a detergent.
Sure. Whatever.
I thought that was just all.
Almighty, mighty something. I know that's something. Almighty packs. It's those little ones you.
Oh, the little pod
things you dip in the.
Okay.
Anyways,
I don't wash my clothes, so.
We still use that thing. You got to go to the creek.
The washboard.
Yeah, you washboard. You got to go to the creek and do it. Anyways.
Yeah. So for the time being, this was it Talking Nerdy? Are we calling it
Watching Nerdy?
Watching Nerdy.
A subsidiary of Talking
Nerdy. Subsidiary of Talking Nerdy.
Look for our other podcast.
Look for our other podcasts. We do. I know James.
Talking Nerdy about Digimon.
But I mean, like if they like it or if they follow it.
It is.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying,
fine.
listen to
James Merle and I, we do Talking Nerdy about Digimon.
And we're trying to get him to do a Talking Nerdy about My Hero, but he won't do it.
No,
I would like to do it. I have
do.
specific people in mind that I would like to get in on it.
And it's not
at some point.
That's what he's saying.
No, if you want to read the series that would
I'd
be perfect.
much rather read it than, I won't say I'd much rather, but it would be easier for me to read it than watch it.
I feel like it would be better if you read it because there's more material out there.
Yeah.
But it's easier to watch it as far as getting the I steal their Crunchyroll, so I could.
It's on Crunchyroll. It's on.
Where
Hulu.
Where do I get the books though?
My store. We have them. I sold 4 volumes of it today.
You didn't have one. You've not had one.
It just came back in stock, and we got it this week.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. So anyway, as I was saying before,
how do I get it for free though?
God damn it! I'm trying to.
How do I get it for free?
Get out of here.
Does anybody have it?
No,
that they can just lend it?
Okay, you know how you watch Digimon, Appmon?
I steal it. Yeah.
Yeah. They have.
How about I'll just buy them and then let you borrow
Done.
them?
I'll send you some links. If you say watch it or read it?
No, read it.
Read it. If you want to read it online, I can find a manga site.
I think I have one.
Yeah.
But if you buy them, I'm just going to steal them from Merle.
Yeah, I mean, you could borrow
Merle stop.
whatever you want to do.
Yeah,
you could borrow them from Drew. Drew has all of them.
He doesn't have one.
How does he not have one? He's on reserve.
I'm pretty sure he started at like 3.
That's weird.
So
that's what you call a head start.
Hey,
go ahead, finish.
So anyway, this was Watching Nerdy, and I'm Jerry.
I'm Merle.
James.
I'm still Kevin.
You're still Kevin, and thanks for listening. If you somehow fucking made it this far, I applaud you. I hope that you skipped to this point, but if you're still listening,
it's only been 33 hours and 17 minutes.
You have a fantastic evening, day, whatever it is. Peace.
Later.
Cut us off right here.